It's just, but at the same time, it's just been a passion. And for like, I must say about 7 to 8 years now, that I woke up out of a dream and was told that I need to do something for men. And I'm like, what? I put my
Really?
faith on no one. Yeah, I put my faith on no one, but I am a woman of God. And I said, Lord, men, you want me to help men? I'm like, you know how they're going to look at me? And it has just always been a calling. And moving and transitioning into my experiences through the US in California, because that's the one state I live.
Hmm.
But going to USC and my own personal experience as a minority woman, um, and weighing like going way back when I started my technology career itself, I was always the only female among 10 or more males. So just that biases, that implicit bias, for me, I understand as much as men probably would not understand how much I understand
Right.
what they're going through. I have my own experiences with men from the tech side of it, being the only woman in their space for over 25 years.
So you feel like
So,
those kind of experiences help to kind of shape and sort of mold sort of this calling that you got one day in terms of the deal just with men. So that's
correct.
interesting. So tell us a little bit about some of the defining experiences of your childhood, perhaps, and maybe even as in your young adulthood. That also, I mean, I know you gave kind of this macro view in terms of where you work, but then maybe you're only woman among a lot of men in different cases. Were there any specific experiences that sort of stand out, even in childhood or even again young adulthood?
Sure. I am the fifth child of six, so I have two siblings, two female,
You're number
two
five of
male.
six children. Five or six children.
Yes,
Got
five
it.
or six. I'm the fifth. I have my little brother, but there was always this thing within our household whereby no matter where your place in the family, the men, the guys, even if they're older or younger, like I have my little brother, I am the little sister. Like it has always been that colonial to me mindset of
Right.
men run the household. And it's something that I grew up with. And so I respect that. At the same time, through childhood, my father and both my mother, they're still married. We always had a loving family. They were always there for us. But I must say, I feel as though now, as an educator and looking from a different lens, I can see why my dad, as much as he was the best provider for us,
Hmm.
he was not close to us. My mom is the one that's our backbone. My dad, we're a middle class family. We're considered a middle class family. Never wanted for anything. And I'm grateful for that. But through research and learning more, I've come to realize that some of the things and the reason why I feel like it's a calling because within my own family, it has happened. Even like my
Mm.
brothers, and this is the first time I'm speaking out like this, to be honest and transparent. Like I can see even my brothers, my dad having their own trauma and just holding that in because of colonial. You should be strong. You shouldn't cry. You should be the macho guy. You should take care of the family. You should provide. So yeah,
So that's interesting. Okay, so you used the word colonial a lot. Now, most of us kind of understand what that is, but maybe break that down a little bit. What in terms of the existing culture and then colonialism, so to speak. I mean, many of us saw a Black Panther and we heard a lot about this whole idea of the colonizers coming over to take over. Talk about how that
hmm
influenced your culture, maybe help shape some of the things that you see as far as men in terms of their particular way that they see the world.
sure. Well, when it comes to the colonial side of it, explaining that is just like this belief that men should be strong. You should not be weak. Like you shouldn't have emotion like me as a female, which is so wrong. For me, that's wrong. You're human. We're
Right.
human. So that's the side that I have realized. And we Belize was considered to be governed by British. That's where the colonial mindset comes in.
Right.
And so there's a fixed mindset still within our society and not a growth mindset around men and how they should act and how they should provide. And so that's where I would say the barrier is that the fixed mindset. They are not still not trying to persuade. are trying to bring about awareness around the fact that we need to move away from this fixed mindset and grow into a growth mindset because years have passed. Like eras and new technology and people are more advanced at this point. It's not like back in the days when you only had limited supply or limited resources, right? It's a whole different era now.
Okay, so okay, I appreciate that. But I want to get a little bit more into you. Like, I still want to get into why you, because I can make the argument that a lot of women have had some very interesting experience with men in terms of their machismo and all this other kind of crazy stuff, how they flex their masculinity and, they don't want to seem weak and always got to be strong. So now I want everyone to know that a mutual friend introduced me to Dr. Tatum. And so she had this idea of turning to starting this podcast and things. I said, well, it was great. Then I learned what it was. I thought that's interesting. But then I thought, wait a minute, but you're a woman, right? So so I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper into that. And they say it's an inside job. So I kind of want to go a little bit deeper in to find out what this is all about. Okay. So again, you're a woman launching a platform centered around the interior lives of men. Now, you would think that men or that God would have given that calling to a guy, but he gave it to you. What is your sense why you got that call? Because you clearly are embracing it now, right? You're clearly embracing it. Why you?
Personally, I feel like through my own personal relationships, I have gotten the experience from many different angles
Give
of.
me an example. Don't be general, but give us some nuggets. Talk to us a little bit.
So, for example, past two relationships, both were men. Um, Mother wasn't close to them, like they don't understand what love is. Um, they grandparents would raise
No, wait a
them,
minute. You say you've been in
upbringing.
relationships with men that didn't know how to express affection? No way. They know how
Exactly.
to.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
impossible. That never happens.
Yep. No, it happens. And people wouldn't believe it because of, you know, I feel like my spirit and the way that I move is what and the reason why I'm called for this job because I don't judge anyone. I
Okay.
don't judge anyone. I observe. I make sure to do my research. I analyze stuff like from the deepest part. But yeah, I've been in relationship. No one would believe this. I've been in relationship. I've been betrayed. I've been um I've been cheated on. I have been there to motivate. I've given so many chances. But the gist of the whole story is I have realized and I've pointed out some of the things that I notice and I judge them not about. And I told them this that they need to go work on. But whenever I say therapy, they're like, nah, I'm not crazy. So back to the colonial mindset, the fixed
Hmm.
mindset that theory or therapy, sorry, is only for crazy people, which is something in my country that I'm in, men are taught. So for me, that's where it's kind of challenging.
Even though if shoot, there's people today that think the therapies for crazy people. They think not just like a archaic type of mindset. That's 2026. So okay. Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Was there a specific relationship, maybe it been your father? I'm sorry, is your father still living?
Yeah.
I'm still
Mhm.
living. Okay. I'm just curious. Was there a particular man relationship, again, could be your father, professional encounter, excuse me, or experience that made you think, there is something happening underneath the surface with men that we're not talking about? Is there, I mean, you talk about sort of this aggregate of experiences that you've had, right, from dating and things like that,
Mhm.
whatever else. But was there one in
Mhm.
particular that sort of was the elephant at the ant convention to you that just was the most salient than anything else that you experienced that will say, you know what, stop, here's something right here.
Yeah. There've been many, like all of them, to be honest. For me, it's just like it
So it's
was
not one,
just
it
such
wasn't just one,
it
it's
wasn't
a
one.
collection.
It
Okay.
was at least three of them. And then when I would point it out, they would pull away so that I know that, guess what? I am touching some nerves. I'm triggering some things. So they don't want to talk about it, which is fine. But yeah, there have been multiple relationships that I've been in. And I could count all my relationship on one hand, people. So just know that. But they have been three out of that five that I personally have encountered whereby I was able from the offset within the first, I'll say 2 to 3 months of getting to know and, learning and not judging and trying to be open and just watching and growing together. Cause I'm not perfect, we all have our flaws and just making sure things align. That yeah, I was able to point certain things out. I take it back to maybe my upbringing and like to read and psychology. That's one of my thing, adult learning, that's my own personal thing that I do, that I could observe and see those things within them even though they don't want to speak on it. um so that's how I detected that many of the men, that the three that I'm specifically talking about, and I'm thinking about writing a book
So,
on them,
so,
to
so
be honest.
okay, so let me ask you something. Okay, so you like say these three of these men, or however many you went out with or had an encounter with,
Hmm.
uh, had this thing where you began to share with them, hey, you need to get some work done, or what's going on, and things like that. So when you began to pry about what's on the inside, now I don't know many dudes, even some most well-balanced emotional dudes are not really trying to share what's going on inside with women for some
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
for some very um, historical reasons. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, there's the sense of I show you my kryptonite, um, and or like what happened with Samson. All the strength is in my hair, only to
Yep.
get his hair all cut off, right? So
Hmm.
so um, what did they say to you? How did they respond to you? They just say, "Get the hell out of my face." They said exit stage right. They didn't say anything. They just ghosted you. How did that experience go when you began to share with them? There's something going on the inside of you that needs to be addressed.
So it was very interesting. I guess my demeanor, my character has always been the nurturing, the feminine part where I'm able to cultivate that friendship. Like they tell me I'm a friendly person and everything. So I get people to trust me. Um,
Well, people
they
is one
have,
thing. What about men? Do you feel as though that you have sort of a disposition, or it's been your experience that you've had experience with men where men just feel like, I just feel I can just open up to you. Has that been your
yeah,
experience?
yeah, that
Okay.
has been, and that's where I was coming to,
Okay.
because I would just be having a random conversation at a table, and I would have men just come up to me and be like, I overheard you saying this. Like, you're so right. Like, and I look at them like, I don't even know you, sir, but okay, thank you. Like, honestly, I've had those type of
Well, I
encounters.
just want to be
And
clear. Did any of these men say, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's what I have trouble with in terms of some category of not being able to disclose uh, things on the inside because fear of being hurt. Men have opened up and said those things to you.
correct, they
Okay.
have. Give you a simple example. A couple of months ago, I came home. There was a funeral for a friend of mine.
Right.
Never met her son, an adult. I think he's about 28, 30, between that range. And we were just sitting at the table after at the repast, and a conversation came up about men. And I started talking, and he's like, can we have a side conversation after this? I know you know my mom, but I don't really know you. But this was what we really need. Many men in our country needs this. And then for me, that was like confirmation, because like your mom is my friend for years, and I've never spoken to this gentleman. And all of a sudden, he wants to talk on the side. So that's just one of, for me, the confirmation. But I've had before that, like other men. Like I've
Yeah.
had ex that came back to me after the fact and say, you know what? I had listened and took you up on that offer. I am doing it now.
Okay, so
Like,
ladies and gentlemen, so we're talking to Dr. Adaline Tatum, and she is the creator of this forthcoming podcast called The UnArmored Man. And so what we're doing right now here on Urban Birds and Bees, the podcast is talking about her why she started it, what was the impetus this very, very ambitious journey she's about to take and so forth. Um, let's okay, let's talk. Where did you get the word unarmored from? I mean, because it says a lot just in the word, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
powerful because when I think about it, right? Uh, armor protects us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
presumably, based on your experience, and not to mention what may have been a driver behind you coming up with the name unarmored. If
Mm-hmm.
a man is wearing emotional armor, I'm just saying, if a man is wearing emotional armor, at some point he believed or believes that he needs it. Okay,
Yeah.
so a couple of questions. What does armor mean to you in the same context? And what is your sense of men divulging what's going on with them and things of that nature? What do you think men are protecting themselves from?
So the first part of the question, armor means that they're guarded, they're wearing a mask, in my
Ah,
opinion.
interesting, interesting. Okay, okay, okay.
And then
So
the second,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupt you.
That's what armor means. So for the other part of the question, the on armor part of it is for me is more about removing that protective layer of that mask and offering men that space, that brave space, that what will we call it? That open the door or open the walls for them that they can know that it's okay to let down those guards and take that mask off.
Okay. I'm gonna say, as an expert in being a man, it is not safe to always take your arm down talking to some women. That is a
True,
lie.
true,
That is not the
true,
case. Women will agree with that fact that that's not
true.
safe to, whatever. Okay, but let's talk about this for a second, right? So the
Hmm.
original concept, raises an important distinction, right,
Hmm.
between emotional protection and emotional isolation that explores shame, for instance,
Yes,
fear
yes.
of inadequacy. Would you agree?
Hmm.
And
Agree.
what it calls the performance of masculinity, right? So let
Correct.
me ask this question. So
Hmm.
what happened from, you know, different conversations that you may have had? What happened that convinced these men that it wasn't safe to take it off?
I
Or,
think
or did, or
what
did you hear some of the things I just talked about? So did they kind of reiterate some of those things and different?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I can see, I observe, and I've witnessed that why men don't want to take that mask off. First of all, they are afraid of being judged because remember now, they are taught to be strong and not emotional. They're afraid of guilt and shame, which you did a great podcast with. I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, and they're just,
Shout out to
it's
Dr.
just
Zoe Shaw
fair.
for her great work in that area. Dr. Zoe Shaw doing great work in that space.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to her. And fear. I think fear is what's holding men back because that was like, from a young age, they always say between the ages of 3 and 6 in a child, you teach them what you want them to remember in your subconscious mind because it's always going to come back.
Hmm.
And that right there is what I think is actually causing a lot of the dysfunction within men and feeling as though they need to keep the mask on because they're afraid that us women, I'm gonna put me in here, will judge them. They can't come out and be vulnerable. They can't come out and be honest. Society will call them out on certain things without even knowing aware, without even knowing the real facts about this person. Maybe this person was molested. Maybe this person was raped. Maybe this man was something, some trauma happened. But of course, the fear of telling someone would let you bring about shame to your family, bring about shame to yourself, bring about guilt. So, all that type of stuff, I think, adds to this conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Again, we're talking about the Unarmored Man, the forthcoming podcast by creator. The creator is Dr. Adaline Tatum. You know what's interesting? I just saw Dr. Zoe Shaw. She actually just popped up. I don't know if she's still here. She may have went away. I don't know. But I was going to ask this question because here's the question I wanted to ask, and maybe you can shine in on. But she's a psychotherapist, so she can has a different lens that she would put in. But
Mm-hmm.
my thinking is okay. So What happens to men? I mean, I know as being a guy, but I'm just want to hear clinically speaking, or just what your vantage point is, right? Um, what happens when a man experiences some sort of violation of his vulnerability, meaning that he shares something and whatever else, he says, here's my superpower, and then that's violated in the sense that it's thrown back in his face, it's weaponized against him, things like that. Why can a man just be resilient and overcome that and just say, okay, well, we'll just try this again? I often hear is one and done with a lot of men that if you cross that line, that you spend so much time chipping away at wanting to know what's actually on the inside, and then I show you I'm vulnerable, and then you use it against me, and you use it against me. What makes us say never again? I heard Shaquille O'Neal, he was on some podcast, and he straight up said, now Shaquille O'Neal, now from what I've heard in terms of people that know him and things I've seen him do in terms of like on social media, on TV, he seems like he's a very generous, special guy, right? That when people down and out, he'll help out people and things like that. You know, big, I mean, he may have been a ferocious player on a basketball court, but I hear he's a great guy. He said this. He said he'll never open up to a woman ever again. That's never going to happen. And a lot of dudes that were in the comments, they co-signed that. They said never going to happen. Oh no, like me, show you what my weakness is and so forth. So they want to keep it on the level. Now we all know that you really can experience true intimacy without the risk of being hurt in the first place. They said
Mhm.
never, never is going to happen. So going back to the question, just what your thoughts are from what you've heard and maybe some things that you may have researched. Why is it that men are one and done when it comes to, oh, you broke the trust, game over?
In my opinion, I really think that it's hard for men to open up one. And if you've got them to that space where they're willing to open up and you betrayed them or you judge them, they're going to just shut down again. They're just going to lock that door because guess what? I thought I finally found a friend in you to hold on to and to help me through this. But then now you're going to go tell this one, or you're going to call me out on it when we argue or we have a little dispute, because that's when it happens, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think it's all about being mindful and aware of what real, genuine friendship should be.
Hmm.
And if a man, which we already know is guarded and always wearing a mask, give you that level of trust, why would you ever want to break that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And here's too, because we want to really dive into this. And here's what I don't want. I don't want, and let me say this, those of you on Facebook Live, feel free. If you got a question, you've got a comment, we'll read it. If you guys are here, you have a question or a comment, if you want to come on, if you want to ask a question, we got to bring you on camera so you guys show your face, right? But if you just want to just put something in the chat, we'll indulge that as well. But here's something I want to add to this, right? So I think our society sends very contradictory messages to men. We said, well, you need to be able to be there for your kids. You need to be more thoughtful and more compassionate to your wife and things like that, and whatever else. So there's these these circles and spears of, hey, you know something, it's okay to smell the flowers sometimes and things like that, right? Smell the roses,
Mhm,
whatever the saying is.
mhm.
But there's so much that's embedded in our society that says if you do one thing that you are like, for instance, I guess a lot of married men who've been married a while probably have no issue with it, but guys that may be out with their girlfriend, whatever else, they say, oh, here, hold on, post for a second. There are men that are not trying to hold their woman's purse. They'll say it, and they'll put it on the ground or put it on something. They're not even trying to hold the purse. They don't want to do anything that even may resemble being feminine, which is really saying, I don't want to do anything that may appear to make me feel be weak or appear weak. Not so much I feel that way, but I don't want to even appear that way. And there's so many messages. So I would think there are men who probably do want to be more vulnerable and more willing to share things in a deeper level, what's kind of going on inside. I just think that, and if I could say this, just really keeping it a buck, that y'all women don't even want us to be that way. Matter of fact, you will tell us that we're a simp if we do start to tell you what's going on and whatever else. And I say, girl, he starts sharing his feelings with me. Shoot, girl, I'm out of here. I'm just saying there's so many things that is wrapped up and woven into the fabric of our society that maybe the times that we as men want to rise to the occasion and be more vulnerable and things like that, we said, no, no, that's not the time. Let me kind of keep it down. Let me appear strong. Let me be sure I'm capable. Even if I don't know the answer to something, let me just fill in the blank to make it seem so I'm capable, right? Fill in the blank is better
Hmm.
than not saying anything at all.
Hmm.
No sign of weakness. That's my thing. What are your thoughts on that?
That's good. My thoughts on that is I feel like society has so many expectation of men, which is so wrong. And also, I personally think that when a man wants to share with a female that they've become, a trusted friend or whatever, marriage, just friends, relationship. Um, when they break that trust, because suppose it's something from a past that he have and he's holding on to, but he needs to let it out, right? And it would bring about shame or guilt, and it comes out to him. That's like, I could have just hold on to that and die with that, but I choose to share that with you. And then now this is the level where you're taking it. So that's why I can see why men pull away, or why they go in the closet, right, and stay in the closet, if we can say it that way. But I do just feel like they just be placed with so much expectation, so much expectation. Like, if you don't open the car door for her, you're not a gentleman. If you don't be the breadwinner of the house, you're not the man of the house. Like, I just feel like it's just so much. While
Yeah,
if you're in a relationship with someone, you decide how you want to run that.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe this week it'll be 80-20. Maybe it's my week to do certain things because you're just tired and exhausted. But that's a conversation between you and that person, right? Just from a relationship point of view. But men won't open up because they're scared that you will judge them.
So let me ask you this, right? So, well, two questions, right? What is it about men that you understand today that maybe you didn't understand maybe 10, 20 years ago? That's the first question. And, we talked a lot about how men just don't open up, societal factors that contribute and exacerbate that feeling us being protective and kind of, you know, making sure they lock up the armor, not take it off. What do you hope
Mhm.
to accomplish in making an impact in that lane with your podcast? Talk about that.
For me, I've noticed for generation, like many men have been taught to suppress their feeling, hide the pain, and carry life burdens in silence. So for the Unarmored Men podcast, I hope to seek to redefine that by showing that it's okay to be authentic. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to have self awareness. It's okay to get healing. It's okay. It's okay to be not okay and have emotional freedom. Act out of courage, not
So
weakness.
is it okay just because you just said it was okay?
No, it's not
What?
okay because I said it's okay. It's because it's okay because you want to do that work. You want to heal you. You want to be free. You want to break away from the expectation, not you, but men in general.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You want to
Well,
show
maybe me
society
too.
that
Maybe me too. Yeah. So,
you want to show society that, guess what? Your old mindset, I'm throwing it through the door because now I want to live for me. I am tired of it. That's what I hope. That brave space where they could come out and encourage each other.
yeah.
Honestly, it's about encouraging and just wanting to know that there's people out here that care for you. I care for men more. Let me tell you why. I feel like there are many outlets. many organization much more for female than for male.
Hmm.
Our suicidal rate in my very country
Yeah.
for men is higher, but nobody looking at that.
Yeah.
There are different addictions that men have, and they think it's just an addiction because they want to have an addiction. But here in our country, they haven't done the full research. I give credit to all those that do the research, but they're ready to jump and judge a man if he drinks, not knowing what's
Hmm.
inside, if he
Right.
smokes, not knowing what he's going through, and that's how he suppresses feeling. If you have a sex addiction, which is a huge one here. People don't talk about that. That here in our country, oh no.
Hmm.
In America, it's okay. We know about it. It's a disease. But here in
Right.
this country, that's not people, you just want to cheat. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a disease that men needs to know there's healing when you get the right support. And
Mm.
it's not every woman will judge you.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Do you have any thoughts on, because I would argue, and again, I'm going to kind of push back a little bit here on the podcast. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Um, um,
I'm in airports.
I even going through some pretty, intensive therapy to address whatever it is that's keeping me, um, um, sort of keeping my emotions sequestered, right, so to speak, right? And while I may actually know that, right, I'm not sure that I'm just ready to drop that on anybody. So my question to you is, what is it that you feel women could do, particularly in a relationship context, that would make it easier for a man? It doesn't, no guarantees here, because we know, again, we kind of quoted Shaq. Shaq said, "Hell to the
Yeah.
no. I'm not old
Yeah.
enough to know a woman ever again." Right? Okay,
Yeah.
what is it that you feel that women can do, particularly when the dating process starts and things like that? What could women do that, even if the health is a man, make it easier, particularly if we're all agreeing that society plays a role in, telling men you gotta be strong and things like that. Don't be weak or whatever. Don't do anything that may even appear to be weak, right? What can a woman do to help alleviate that?
I think as women, we can start off the conversation instead of asking the basic questions of color, what you like, where you want to go, all those base. Let's get real with the conversation.
Right.
Ask about their mental health.
Mm.
How are you feeling right now? And I don't want to hear okay. I want you to describe how you're feeling.
Hmm.
Is like I would also give like examples. I'm like, I know it's hard for you to open up. You hardly know me. We're still learning each other, but I want us to grow together. So guess what? If there come a time when a thought come in your head and you're like, maybe I should ask her that. Shoot me a text and ask me in your language. I'm a talking Creole for a minute. Tell
Hmm.
me it how you say it in your head. Tell me how you heard it in your head. Don't
Mm.
pretty up the language. For me, I think just giving them that option to know that everything doesn't have to be roses and butterflies
Mhm.
is a good conversation to help because then they know you're not here to judge them.
Well, the one thing, first of all, I agree with you on that. The other part is, I think, you know, in a healthy way, although it can become sort of toxic, men, we get our self-esteem from our sense of achievement, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot about the score, like how much we
Mm-hmm.
have, what have we made, and things like that. And I think oftentimes, I think what we, or particularly in this Western culture here in the United States, particularly in California, particularly in Southern California,
Yep.
there's a huge emphasis on things. Where'd you go to school?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? What brand, what name brands that you're wearing? How much money you
Mm-hmm.
make? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that sort of is quantifiable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting, that's kind of tied into our self-esteem. But I think a lot of that is influenced by the culture as well. And to your point, if the conversation steers from when gonna get my hair did, when we going to Nobu, are you gonna pay my rent? I assume our viewing audience not having those type of conversations, but you never know, right? So we typically attract 40 and over, but I don't know. Could be some gold diggers out there,
Youngster.
just like 56 years old. Hey, anything's possible, right? This is LA, right? But anyway, I think there's a lot of conversation that we experience all the time that literally dodges, avoids anything about who we are on the inside. And
Mhm.
it's interesting because some of these rappers, they're not saying so much of it now, but I remember 50 Cent
DMX.
well, I think about Jay-Z.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about if I couldn't flow, would you still want to be with me? And 50 Cent said the very same thing. It's like, the song was called 21 Questions. And, these 21 questions were really about, I know I'm this rock star. I know that you like the way I roll. I know you love this life I give you. But if I didn't have any of this, would you still want to be
They
with me?
love me. That's good.
And the thought is, why in the world would I open up to you where the only thing that seems like that moves you and concerned about you is what I can do for you? And so I do all these things for you, and it seems to ding 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 ring the bell, but um, you know, I'll just keep doing what I think works. Babies learn early on. If I cry, I'm gonna get fed. Let me cry, I get food. And we do the same thing as adults around here. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
So that's interesting because a thought that ran through my head while you were saying that is like, for me, I like the simple things. Yes, I'm independent. I've always been independent. Like I never depended on a man to pay my rent, to pay my car note, to buy me stuff. Like I've always been independent. So for me, I thought about the
You
fact
never asked
of
a man to pay for you never asked a man to pay for your lace front. Never ever.
never. I don't wear weave or anything, but I've never asked a
She's I don't
man.
even wear a lace front.
Never. I've never asked a man to pay for anything for me.
Uh,
Never. If they offer and want to, I'll probably think about it. I'll be like, I'll think about it and let you know. And I've gotten people that offer. And I think that for me is one of the ways that men trust that I'm not, if you want to say gold digger, and I'm really in because I want to be in the relationship, if we want to talk on that level, or the friendship. Um, so it's all about, yeah, when I like to joke, right? And I would tell, if I'm in a relationship, I'll say to them, guess what? We could live in a box. I don't need to live in this expensive 2-bedroom house. As long as we're happy, as long as we understand each other, we respect each other, because that's big. We respect each other. We know where we're going and what our direction is. And we are here and we privatize each other in the sense of we will not let anyone come in and belittle, or discriminate between whatever we got going on. Because, family and this one, they're going to all say what they want to say and judge, and they don't want to see you happy. We're
right.
good. I'll go live in the car with you if we need to live in the car, as long as we're on the same page. So that's what came to mind. Like, I feel like when you could actually gravitate and cultivate that type of level of emotion within a man, to let them know, I'm not here to dig from you. I'm not here to take away from you. I'm here to add to you. I want to
Interesting.
add to you.
I guess one of your students, Sharina Banner, that sounds familiar? Sharina Banner. She said, "So true, Dr. Tatum. You are awesome. Proud to have you as my lecturer." So, some amazing point you
Yes.
made. But then Dr. Robert Harris, right on here with us, said, "Many of us were once actively seeking that type of safe space where vulnerability is the norm. Unfortunately, women often weaponize that vulnerability, so we learn the importance of gearing up." That's actually a pretty provocative thought. I'm just curious, Dr. Robert Harris, you want to jump on the screen and elaborate a little more on that? That's actually kind of that's kind of juicy, bro. You wanna share a little more about that?
And before you share, I want to shout him out. He's my friend, so I'm happy
Oh,
to
okay.
see
Well,
him
even
on
more
here.
so, bro. So come on here. He's like, yeah, I ain't trying to come on here. But anyway, we won't put
He
anybody on
Yeah,
will. He
blast.
hey,
will.
hey,
Okay, yeah, you
yeah,
okay, you gotta come on the camera. You gotta come on the
yeah.
camera. Come
Good
on,
evening.
let's
I'm driving right now. I'm driving right now. But
okay.
um, yeah. Hold on. Let me hold to you. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi,
Um,
hi.
hey, how's it going? How's it going, Dr. Tatum? Yeah. So I'm just, I guess, I think a lot of this stuff is linked to. It's all phenomenological, right? It's all based on lived experience. Um,
Mm,
where you end up in any given space or time, it's based on everything that you've experienced, like from birth up until this current space that you're in, right? So, um, I think even speaking from just personal experience, I think of myself as being a young man, maybe in my early, late teens, early 20s, and actively like seeking that. Like I saw my dad having that kind of space. My mom was an amazing lady. Everything that Dr. Tatum is speaking of in terms of that mentality it really mirrors a lot of who my mom is. And so he had the fortune of being able to exist in that space. But I do think it's a conversation that needs to take place with what do women do when you express and you're willing to be in that space. What do women do with that? Because it only takes one time for you to show that type of vulnerability, and then somehow it comes back up, or you realize that it's because I'm a very cerebral person. Um, I evaluate everything about a person, and so those are sometimes you'll see something show up that you realize she might have not said anything, but she's actively leveraging that vulnerability, whether it's consciously or not consciously. She's
yeah.
actively leveraging that vulnerability.
Yeah. No, that's
So
good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
yeah.
So where are you now? Do you feel like that you can be vulnerable to the woman, or you just like, yeah, you like Shaq, I'm one and done. Where you at with that?
I don't know about one and done. I think it's something that you could that with time you can try to work yourself back to getting into that space, but it is difficult. I think the older and wiser you get,
Mm,
the more challenging it becomes. The more a lot you start. I think the older you get, you start thinking less with your heart and
mm,
with your mind and with your brain. And I think the more logical you become with age, the tougher it is. Like the tougher it becomes.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's
mhm.
good.
So,
All
That's
right.
good.
Big round of applause for Dr. Robert Harris in the
Thank
house.
you
yes,
for
sir.
Good
Yes,
sharing,
sir. Of
my
stuff.
course. Of
friend.
course. Of
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. But you know what I want to do? I want to get another woman perspective on this.
Yeah,
I
let's
see
do
that
it.
I see Crystal Walton is here on the longtime friend, longtime homie. We're both from
Oh,
Michigan.
wonderful.
And Crystal, look, I know you waiting in on this. I want you to jump on camera and share your 2 cents about this. What's up?
Can I do voice?
You gotta come on camera. Come on, you just can't do that. Come on
We want to see
camera.
your beautiful
Oh,
face. Come on now.
Just put your baseball cap on, whatever you need to do. 'Cause, women always worry, my hearing did and whatever else.
oh
So
my gosh, I have totally deconstructed for the night. I am
have you?
actually in
Okay,
bed.
voice is fine. Voice is fine.
Thank you. Love you dearly. Okay. For not making me do that to you guys.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. It's all
What?
good.
I'm sorry. So what was the question?
Well, the question was, I mean, just sort of reacting to this whole idea of two things. Why men are one and done with their vulnerability, right? And what is it that you feel that women can do that can make it easier, considering if we're saying and all agree that the societal norms suggest that men really don't have the freedom to be vulnerable, so to speak. What can women do? Because this is what a lot of women want. They want, and obviously you're not going to really experience true intimacy unless you are vulnerable, right?
Right.
So what can women
Absolutely.
do to help facilitate that?
Um, wow, that's a big question. I think that for one, I think we need to be honest and not expect men to be superheroes, but to really be human
Mhm.
beings. We're all flawed human beings. And I think giving them space to be human and to experience their humanity in all its imperfections. And I think just being honest that everybody that looks good to you, that seems on paper like they would be a good fit for you, may not be a good fit, and that's okay.
Hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you need to give people space to be honest about who they are. Let them be comfortable being who they are, knowing there's no pressure to fit a certain mold. I'm just here to experience, life, have this human
Mm-hmm.
experience with you in this moment. And if it goes into something else, that's wonderful. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I think removing that pressure to be perfect or to be a hero
Mm-hmm.
is something that women need to free men from the pressure of.
Hmm.
And
So,
I
so,
think
so,
too
so,
that women, I think we also need to accept and understand that, um, we're not victims, we're not perfect, and we have to also give people space to um, experience an authentic us. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to be honest with about what we bring to the table, strengths and weaknesses, and and just be real with that. I have these issues. I'm not perfect in this area. And to continue to grow and take advantage of opportunities to improve in those areas we've identified as areas of weakness or where we may be interfering with our own goals,
Mm-hmm.
to
mm,
work on those things, but to be honest that we're bringing some flaws and things to the table too that somebody may not uh, find acceptable or compatible with their lifestyle, and that's okay. We just need to keep working toward becoming our best selves with
yeah,
the time we
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
have. Yep.
No,
Mm-hmm.
that's really good, really good.
Good.
Thanks, Crystal, for sharing that. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. Um, but I'm just sort of thinking though, right? So I think there's almost three categories here: the mistakes men make,
Mm-hmm.
mistakes women make, and then there's the
Mm-hmm.
issue of vulnerability. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily, this is just me, I could be totally wrong, but I don't really put not being vulnerable under like not being perfect. I'm saying this is a systemic issue that exists culturally, which men exist. And depending upon who you're talking to, you are a-okay not being vulnerable, where others would
Mm-hmm.
probably say something very different. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's an issue. So let's talk about this really quick, Dr. Tatum. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the women who love armored men. They recognize they got the video up, but they love them anyway, right? Okay, because this birds of bees. Ultimately we're gonna talk about some
We keep it
relationships.
real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so a man's armor in this case does not exist in
Mm-hmm.
isolation. Women
Mm-hmm.
date it, women marry it, right? Children grow up around it, friends encounter it, organizations are sometimes led by it. I guess you assume you agree
Mm-hmm.
with all that, right?
I do.
So, what does emotional armor look like inside the relationship? Maybe you've had some insight on that. Now, can a woman love a man deeply and still never really know him? And can she unintentionally reinforce his armor? We kind of talked about that a
Yeah,
little bit, but yeah.
we did. Yeah, you and I. Yeah, I do. I do believe that woman can. I've been in a relationship like that, whereby as much as I know he's armored, I still feel
What did that
like,
look like to you? Okay, we talk about
mm-hmm.
the armor. So I want you to kind of like give us the ingredients of that armor. What did that armor look like inside that relationship? The Reader's Digest version, so to speak.
Okay, so what it looked like was that the person saw me as this person on this pedestal because of my degree, my experience, my everything, right? It's at this level as a
Sure.
doctor. And the person was younger than I, is younger than I, and didn't know all of this about me. But when the time came and they actually learned all of this about me, it was like, uh-oh, how will I be the man that you need me to be? But at the same time, I have all this past that I don't want you to find out about because you seem to be perfect. So for me, it was like, no, like what Crystal said just now, I am not perfect. I have my own flaws. I have my own issues going on. So it was like, I am genuinely here because I want to be in this relationship. I choose this relationship. I don't have to be here. Like I said before, I'm always independent. I take
How
care
much
of
younger
me.
was he? Was he like 5 years, 2 years, a lot?
No,
I'm not telling
he's
you.
20,
I'm not telling you to
like
disclose ages. I'm just saying, like,
22, like 22, 25 years younger.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
So for me,
Cougar. Excuse me.
don't do that. But for me, what made it attractive about the person was that very intelligent. There was some unwiring that needs to happen, and I saw that from my experience of previous relationships. But I'm not going to judge you because you were the one that actually reached out to me. And the conversations in the beginning was really, I'm going to tell you, it was very, very deep conversation from the get go with this person. So I'm like, oh, you're younger, but probably you are reading, you are educating yourself. I could see that. Right. So for me, that's how, like, I know. And it's a flaw within me. I get it. That I feel now with
A
this
flaw.
conversation
What kind of flaw? In what context you mean? What flaw?
that I show a lot of love, right? I when I love hard. I'm a Libra, people. When I love, I go in, I go full in. And so I tend to start now to realize and step back because I'm realizing that sometimes I'm taken advantage of. People pretend, people are fake. While I am vulnerable, I'm gonna be upfront and authentic with you from the get go. I'm not gonna hide it. But while others don't reciprocate the same thing, that's what I've learned from this younger relationship situation. And then there are like things that, oh, I can't tell you about my past because then you're gonna judge me because you're older. You've probably been there. That kind of stuff.
I'm just kind of frozen in time over here because I'm wondering, like, um, you're with a dude 25 years younger than you.
Yeah,
I'm like, what created that? Anyway, let's stay within the guardrails of the podcast.
we're not judging. We're
Not
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 judging here.
Yeah, we kind of are, but anyway. Okay, anyway. So Crystal Walton has a question. She said, should a person who is not ready to be vulnerable with a potential partner be dating in pursuit of a relationship, especially with a partner who desires intimacy? What are your thoughts about that?
That's a good one, Crystal. I think it all depends on the conversations that they are willing to have. Because conversations is what will lead to if you go to intimacy, right? I always tell people if you could take and blow my mind, that is the best type of intimacy you could have with me. So that's how I kind of balance stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah, so here's what I think is interesting. I'll just read the question again. It says, should a person who is not ready to be vulnerable with a potential partner be dating in pursuit of a relationship, especially with a partner who desires intimacy? So here's what I say. That goes on all the time. This is not like a unique circumstance. Most people don't want to be vulnerable, but they want a relationship. And what they'll do is they'll put you in a box what's comfortable for them so they can navigate around their scars and areas of
Hmm.
sensitivity. And when you try to encroach upon some of that, at some point, they're going to push back, gaslight you, or something like
Play
that.
the victim,
Play the
play the
victim,
victim,
um,
manipulate you.
or
Yup.
ultimately just ghost you or something like that. So,
Mhm.
Crystal, you just really just described it, the typical relationship that exists, particularly here in Southern California. Most people do what you just described. Now what I remember listening to the radio show. I thought it was great. It was this lady. She called into the radio show and she said, and this show was about relationship with a therapist, right? Lady called in. She said, "Do you know, I can never seem to meet the right person. I think I'm an attractive woman. I think I have a lot going on. I think I have a great personality. I think I look okay, but I could never seem to meet the right person. So the therapist on the other end said, well, I beg to differ, is what he said. I think we all meet the wrong people all the time. The problem is some of us stay longer than others.
That's good.
So here's really the secret sauce to all this stuff, right? And this, whether it is vulnerability, it's not a match, whatever they clearly fall into the category of one of your deal breakers or whatever that may be, right? I think we need to be better at cutting bait. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of times we do want to do one or two things, right? We we know we want something deeper, but we kind of hang around for 6, 7, 8 months, almost a year. Then we say, so what are we doing?
Hmm.
And maybe you guys not aligned somewhere that obviously would be crucial for a partnership. Or you find out early on they got a red flag, but then you start thinking like things like, well, well, shoots. Ain't no good men out here anyway. At least he's got such and such and such. At least he's got a job. At least he's got a pulse. I mean, so we start to deduce our expectations and criteria just because, whatever the case may be, So I'm just kind of like, so Chris is
Hmm.
absolutely not,
I
LOL.
was
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, look, I think whether it be, and we kind of sort of deviate from the conversation, but I think that's important that we need to know that. And I'll say this because I write articles every week
Mhm.
talking about the landscape of dating and things like that from my perspective. I'll quote other uh, relationship experts, people with credential, and draw from other statistics and things like that. So it's not just my opinion, but I kind of back it up with things, right? But
Mhm.
I'm super uber duper clear that the only way you're really going to get what you want is that you're clear what you want. And generally speaking, when it
Mhm.
comes to relationships, it is where someone's going to be committed to you, whether it be marriage or you're going to be in an exclusive relationship. If you're dealing with anything else, all bets are off. Because anything else, anything goes. Well, I kind of want you to
Mhm.
be around, but we're not really committed, but you can see someone else and so forth. And this is, it's a big mess. Either it's like saying, I'm just a little bit pregnant.
How can
Either
you
you're
be a
pregnant
little
or you're
bit
not pregnant,
pregnant?
right? So you either,
Yeah.
what you going to do, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so,
But I
thank you.
agree with you if I could just comment. I do
Yeah,
agree with you that at times we see the red flags from the beginning. In my case, I'll speak from my own personal experience. And
sure.
I am this person like, but I see potential in you. I have hope that you're going to want to change. And then we stay longer and we get the red flags again and we still extend that. But then it's like you're saying, sometimes we have to realize that people are only brought into our life for a season. And the reason is not for a lifetime. So we have to learn how to navigate that and accept that. Like in my case, they may say, oh, your boundaries are high, your standards are high. And then, okay, because I really like you and I see potential, I'm going to drop it a little bit. Then you take advantage of it. Then now, okay, like, what's up with that? So I do agree with you that in my case, I have learned and I'm trying to stick to it that see the red flag, just cut it off and just keep pushing because if not, you're going to stick around forever. And people see that, they take advantage of it and they use it against you. And oh, you're going to be here forever. You're not going nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. Crystal said unrealized potential is a real thing. Let me say
Mm.
my actually the mentor for me, particularly in this relationship space, is a gentleman by the name of Donald Bell. And he he was talking about potential. A lot of people say, well, the kid has potential, blah, blah, blah. So he said, let me give you the definition of potential. And he
Mm-hmm.
said the definition of potential is perhaps, maybe never.
I like
So when
that.
so let's see if we were to put the actual
Mm.
definition in place. I'll say, well, he has potential. We'll say, well, he maybe never. We don't say that. Somehow we feel better saying
Mm.
potential because maybe it leans more in the possibilities of going to happen, whatever else. So, and one thing that he talked about, he said, even if a person has potential, and he wasn't necessarily saying don't see someone with potential, but he talked about there's got to be some sort of time frame on that, whatever that means. So you're not
Mm.
just sort of stuck there. Um,
I like
Serena
that.
Serena Banner also chimed in. She says, "Being consistent, let your words and actions match over time." I agree with being
Mm.
honest because honesty builds security even though it can be uncomfortable at times, right? Communicate openly. Don't make your partner guess what you are feeling. Most importantly,
Mm.
most importantly, she says accountability. Take responsibility when you make a mistake. You need to make sure that you can acknowledge excuse me, that you acknowledge your mistake, apologize, and demonstrate change. She sounds like a therapist over there.
Purple. I like that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
yeah,
real.
yeah. She
That is
broke that
real.
down. And then Dr. Robert Harris says sometimes the line between weakness and vulnerability is also oh, bro.
Yeah, you talking. You talking.
For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
So I'm curious. So we're getting closer to our time to go, but we've got like about 10, 15 more
Mhm.
minutes. Um,
Okay.
so I want to talk a little bit about now, again, we try to make our podcast for everyone right here, but
Mhm.
we got a special place in our heart for the Black community, right? And
Of
in this way,
course. Yep.
we want to talk a little bit about the Black man, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So I particularly want to again explore this through the lens of the Black experience.
Mhm.
So my thinking here is, well, because Urban Birds and Bees intentionally examines relationships, identity, and culture. So this is very consistent with our podcast. So for Black men, armor can have another dimension. There is masculinity, but then there's race. Okay, and I think we need to talk about this
Mhm.
because there's family,
Mhm.
there's history, there's the workplace, there's the expectation of being strong. There's
Mhm.
often the feeling that you cannot afford to appear vulnerable because the world may perceive your vulnerability differently. Very interesting, right? I can completely
Very.
identify with that, right? So the question is,
Mhm.
does the Black man sometimes have legitimate reasons for having an armor?
They do. I personally think, see, know that they do. Um, just because, like we started out with the thought of vulnerability and what that means. If we would, as females, I'm speaking from the female perspective, if we would demonstrate to them that vulnerability means strength and courage, not weakness, what you've been taught. So I want to be here to empower you. I want you to know that I understand that your life experience, your disappointment, your trauma, your pain, your past pain has caused you to put this armor on. And it's okay. It's okay with me to know that you have this armor. But at the same time, how would you feel to be able to take off that mask? It will take a process, it will take time, but just know that I am here to support you. It will take a long time, right? We can, like you said, like time frames and whatever. But I understand why Black men, because they're judged so many times. Like they
Yeah,
walk out the door and they have no shirt on. The neighbor across the street looking at them like, didn't your mom teach you not to walk out the door without, like, come on. That's a grown man working, taking care of his family. Why do you got to be up in his business? Why don't you mind your business?
yeah, yeah. Super facts,
That's
super
just
facts.
me.
So okay, but let's go with that for a second because you just said something very interesting. You agreed that sometimes it's great for the Black man to have the armor on. Okay, okay. So keep that in mind for a second, right? Okay. If that armor helped him survive professionally, right? That it works for
Mhm.
him outside the house. It works for him professionally, culturally, socially. Oh my God, this is if that armor has helped him survive professionally, culturally, and socially, how does he learn? How do we learn that we may not need to wear the same armor at home?
That's
Mm,
good.
mm.
It all begins on,
How does a
I'll give an
man put
example.
on the armor when he
Mm-hmm.
needs it without
Mm-hmm.
forgetting
Mm-hmm.
how to take it off when he's safe?
And my mom taught us this. She taught us as women, me and my two sisters. Make sure that your partner, husband, best friend, whatever you call them, when they walk or they're thinking to come home, make sure that they know they're coming home to love. You don't know what
Mm,
they went through at work. You don't know how many people probably cursed them on the freeway. You
yep.
don't know what drama they experience, who texts them, which friend, which family. Make sure when they're walking in your door, even if you have something to tell that man, you check on him before you blast him.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
want to cultivate that type of thing. Make sure you give him the space, feel the temperature in the room, I like to say, before you. And it's also the way you express it. You could ask people something in the nicest way. You don't have to always be angry. You don't always
Hmm.
have to be rude. Like if that's your partner and you want to cultivate something good with them, you definitely need to know how to talk to each other and back to respect, right? Because
Yeah.
if I respect you and you respect me, then when it's time to talk, I'll know how to talk to you. I could look on your face and know you had a rough day. If that's
Mm,
how good we are. I could
mm.
see when you're driving in the driveway. And that's some of the things that as human in relationships, what we need to do. We need to learn each other.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about all the other stuff. Let's start learning and monitoring and observing each other
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
know when you're having a bad day. I should be able to look at you and say, something happened. How am I going to approach this right now? So he feels as though, guess what? My woman, my wife, my girlfriend, she cares about me.
You know what I'm also clear about. I'm clear that and maybe even part of your podcast, right? There may need to be someone that comes on. You know, it's one thing to just talk about, okay, here's what men go through, and people use their different vantage points of figuring out how to unlock men so they'll be more open and vulnerable and transparent, right? I would argue it may not be a bad idea to have a guest on your podcast, particularly perhaps a woman who would just talk about how to cultivate a safe environment for the man.
I like
A
that.
safe environment for the man. That's what
Hmm.
we're how can a woman go from just having an okey doke place for the man to come home? And not just
Hmm.
in between the four walls, just
Hmm.
in terms of the a culture within the relationship where he's
Hmm.
safe, that he
Hmm.
knows, okay, I can take this. I mean, you know what's interesting? I've you know, I work as a philanthropy executive, and I'm almost all the time in a suits all the time, all the time. And it's amazing to me, you know, it's just a suit, right?
Hmm.
I'll come home and I'll take off the actual suit, maybe just put some shorts and a shirt on, and I feel super light. I mean, there's stress within the suit, the actual garment. And I thought about that. I said, damn, this is a trip. I don't really feel when I put it on, but it's when I take it
Get
off.
off.
And I am
Mm.
saying, using the same sort of analogy here, that
Hmm.
when can a man know that he has the armor on, but he knows he's at a place, I can
You
take
could
this
take it
off.
off.
And I
That's
think
good.
that is not going to just happen independent in a vacuum with a
Hmm.
man, that is going to happen with a woman. Oh,
That's true.
yeah. And
That's true.
yeah. Um, I'm going to get ready to wrap up here, but we're going to talk about the
Hmm.
podcast. Okay, so
Hmm.
here's okay. So supposedly, you know, the podcast is launching and so forth. And let's say I'm listening
Hmm.
to it 6 months from now, right? You've launched the podcast.
Hmm.
Here's
Hmm.
my question:
Hmm.
what am I going to experience?
The goal is for you to experience the reason why it's important for men to privatize their mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health. redefining what vulnerability is. Like I shared earlier, it's a strength and not a weakness.
Right.
Seeking healing from past trauma that can keep
Mhm.
you in a box and not seeing the woman that may be cultivating all that space for you. You walk in and you have everything, but because your trauma is holding you back from seeing all of that or your disappointment or past life experience, you're not able to receive all
Mhm.
that love that she had for you. So
Yeah.
that is the goal of the podcast, to be able to empower men to listen, speak, heal, and grow into the healthiest, happiest, and most authentic version of themselves.
And is are we going to hear like we're probably hearing men telling their stories, experts helping to understand men, or we're going to be hearing women talking
Mhm.
about their experience with men, or we're going to be hearing from fathers and sons, husbands, single men, men who have experienced divorce, failure, incarceration, grief. Tell us a little bit about what might be expected on the podcast in that sense. I know in terms of the theme what that's about, but tell
Mhm.
me more some nuggets what you are shooting for on the
So
podcast.
yes, so some of the goals are to make sure to cover those specific topics that you just shared. So it's about um trauma, having therapists, for sure, having a therapist. I like the idea of women cultivating a safe space and what that looks like. It's definitely also going to be about men and their personal experience from being in that past and end up going and getting that healing and what that looked like and how that feel. So sharing their experience. I do want to see if I can get a few persons on that have been incarcerated and how that looked from that angle for them, as well as I do want to have whereby women are invited to come and listen into the podcast and have men share like what it would take for them to on release and take that mask off if their partner, their wife would just give them that space. Like that's one
Mhm.
of the goals. And even like for me, like having younger people on here that are learning or
Mm,
need that help of, guess what? I didn't have a dad to teach me what it looks like to be a man. I'm only going off of my friends and what I see on the internet or what my mom taught me. Just having that male figure, like, how does that look to you? Do you know how to receive the love from someone that really is trying to give it to you? Like, what's holding you back? Like those
mhm.
type of conversation.
No, I think that's powerful. I had an interesting talk. I have a younger son. He's well, I have one that's 15, but I have another one that's a little older. He's 20, I think he's 26 now, 26, 27. And so he got married like 3 years ago. And so we were having this conversation the other day. And I think this is very important and apropos as we get ready to wrap up here. We were talking about growing up, and my dad wasn't really
Mhm.
in my life very much, and so I kind of figure out things on my own to some degree. But so I didn't really have a consistent male figure father in my life
Mhm.
growing up. But
Okay.
anyway, so it was since I didn't have that, I wanted to make sure that my kids had that, right? So it's like even though went through a divorce, I was really involved in their life and things like that. But I wanted to make sure I was going to be the father, going to be this man and whatever else. Let me tell you just how because it's interesting. People would just see me with my kids. I swear they wanted to give me Father of the Year award just because I was hanging out with my kids. I said, "Well, I'm getting an award for something I'm supposed to do." So it was kind of interesting, right? But anyway, I'm having this conversation with him, and he was telling me, you know, you put us in sports, you did this thing and all this stuff for us, but did you really, spend time with us to kind of get to know what was important to us?
Mm.
Other things. And he began to talk about things that as I'm listening to this podcast, we participate in this podcast, it began to be clear to me that the emphasis of trying to be the man that society says I need to be and how I felt like I should have showed up in the home, what it absolutely did, it it avoided all the areas that they really needed emotionally. in
Mm,
terms of that. And to this day, there's struggle with some of that because I was so fixated on trying to be the man, the man that I understood
mm,
society said I should be, the TV said I should be,
mhm,
and everywhere else I should be, and thinking they see it the same way. And they were just kind of going
mhm.
along with it. But it's not until he became a grown man, he says, I'm at a deficit here. And as
Wow.
his dad, I did not give him that. This
Wow.
stuff is super, super, super duper important. That
Mhm,
everything ain't about necessarily being seen as a simp or a little biatch or whatever you want to call it, whatever else,
mhm,
because your little
mhm.
emotions say that whatever the case may be. But it is really important for us to be able to be thoughtful in terms of what it means to be a man. I remember one time I went to therapy. Because I'm in this space, I'm just thinking, oh yeah, this should be a good checkup. Like you just go to the doctor, make sure that everything's good, blood pressure and whatever else, right? So I went to therapy and talking to the therapist, woman therapist, began to tell a little bit of my background and things like that. So yeah, but I'm pretty up on certain things. Like this is gonna be, I'm be in and out of here really quick. She asked me one question and it took me out.
Mm.
She said, Carrie, let me ask you something. She said, who taught you how to be a man?
Ooh. Ooh. And that's a good question to ask our man.
Yep, yep.
Ooh,
I
man.
said, damn.
That's good.
Oh, that knocked me out.
Wow, that's good.
And I began and now I began to think, because my father wasn't really around. Um, I have experience with some of my trifling uncles and things like that, but there was TV and whatever else and so forth. I said, damn, so where am I getting my script from? How to be
Mhm.
a man.
Mhm.
How am I figuring this out? And then I got to teach my sons. And I
Wow.
already got the feedback from years later with them telling me, said, yeah, I'm having trouble bonding with my wife and some other things and so forth, and clearly at a deficit. And we as
Mhm.
men will count everything we've done. I bought you this, I worked this, I've done this for you, and so forth. And
Yup.
we count all this stuff that we can
Tough.
measure. Stuff, stuff,
Mhm.
stuff, 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 and completely avoiding or bypassing some things that inside that they really need to thrive. So I know this stuff
Mhm.
firsthand. So uh,
Wow.
I may have a podcast, I may have interesting conversations and things like that, but I'm learning too because I'm going through this stuff as well. So I'm right there as well. Anyway, so on that note, any
Thank you for
final thoughts
sharing.
you wanna uh, give to the listening audience and everyone regarding your podcast? Any thoughts that we talked about regarding the unarmored man?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me. I want to say thank you for everyone that listening or will hear this podcast later on.
Yeah,
Just know that the Unarmored Men podcast, yes, I'm a female, but I am an advocate for men because I want to make sure that my podcast provides a safe, authentic space without judgment where men can feel safe. They can be open to explore topics that may have surrounded their emotions for years, their well-being, their mental health, their relationship, their fatherhood, purpose, trauma, self-worth, right?
yeah,
Faith,
yeah,
leadership, even personal growth. And just be honest and transparent in the conversations, um, and just where we can learn from each other. We're not there to judge. And the platform is to encourage men to remove the armor someday, feel confident in doing that, that they can have that force to
mhm,
wear and embrace healing as a true sign of strength and not weakness. So that's the goal of the podcast.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, anyway, it's been amazing having you and having this conversation with you today. Really appreciate you. Uh, Big round of applause once again for Dr. Adaline Tatum and the forthcoming podcast, The Unarmored Man. And so, will this be where can we find the podcast? Where's it gonna be? Where's it gonna be?
So hopefully the podcast is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and I'll stream it on IG and TikTok as well. So
Yeah,
similar to what you're doing, that's the goal.
yeah, yeah.
And it's
So
supposed to be launching soon.
right,
More to
right.
come.
Yeah. So I'm actually working with her on the podcast, you guys. So
Yep.
just put it out there, right? So yeah.
My co-host is going to be great. We're going to do this.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So again, once again, we want to thank Dr. Adaline Tatum for this very stimulating, insightful, and enlightening conversation of the origin and the genesis of the Unarmored podcast, coming to um, a Facebook, a Zoom, a YouTube near you. So just stay tuned. So again, for Dr. Adaline Tatum, I'm Dr. Kerry Neal. This is Urban Birds and Bees podcast. Everyone have a phenomenal evening.
Thank you.